yours, not simply as your husband, but as your friend, your lover, and your biggest supporter. Let me be the shoulder you lean on and the companion of your life. Tennille, I am proud to call you my best friend and now my wife, for better, for worse, forever. I love you.
That was so good. What were you worried about?
Marriage, a union of love, trust and commitment, a bond that weaves two souls together, creating an unbreakable connection that transcends time and circumstance. It's a journey of laughter and tears, of triumph and tribulation, of growing together and forever becoming one. Get ready for a real talk about marriage. At the Legal Stamp, we are shedding light on the biblical and modern legal, emotional, and practical aspects of building a life together. You are with me, Elias, as we unpack the ins and outs of matrimony and what it takes to make it work. Marriage is a universal institution which has been in existence since time immemorial, and by the way, it can be traced as far back as the very creation of man and is considered to have spiritual, moral, and societal significance. It is therefore reverenced as sacred and thus heavily guarded by various religions, traditions, social norms, and laws. Marriage is defined as a legal union of man and woman as spouses. So in an old precedent of Hyde versus Hyde, marriage is known as the voluntary union for life between one man and one woman to the exclusion of others. That's marriage. Let's now see the biblical and our modern law similarities of this beautiful thing called marriage. And one of the common element or similar element is consent. Marriage should be voluntary, not forcible. Now remember when Abraham sent his servant to get his son Isaac a wife from his kindred, they asked Rebekah, "Will thou go with this man?" In Genesis 24:58. Now the consent had to be given by Rebekah, meaning it is important that the person you get to married to is your choice. That's why they asked Rebekah to tell them her choice, because it's not arbitrary or forcible but voluntary. Furthermore, you should also marry someone you desire to marry. So God does not have something like a cosmic plan for who he desires that each person should get married to. Now, if you see that the Bible says that a woman is at liberty to marry whomsoever she wills in 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 39. After consulting with God about the legal question of daughters of Zelophehad, if you remember in the Old Testament, Moses told daughters of Zelophehad that this is the thing which the Lord doth command concerning the daughters of Zelophehad, saying that let them marry to whom they think best. So even today we should marry whom we think best, not someone to choose for you a wife because the heart wants what it wants, because we have free will. And also in our Constitution 1985 as amended, Article 31 Clause 3, marriage shall be treated with free consent and shall be entered with free consent. So the treatment of the law towards marriage is that when two intended couples enter into marriage, it should be with free consent. And another second element we shouldn't go without mentioning is marriage between persons of the same sex is highly prohibited under Article 31 Clause 2 of the Constitution. So God created male and female, created he, them, the Bible says. God did not create Steve for Adam, but Eve for Adam, meaning marriage should strictly be between man and woman. Even in Uganda, there is Anti-Homosexuality Act 2014 and unnatural offenses under the Penal Code Act Cap 128. So the moment they catch you as a homo or a lesbian, you shall be prosecuted in the courts of law, because those are unnatural desires or unnatural institutions that God and nature did not create. Or now, because also God clearly states it in Leviticus 20:13 that sodomites sodomites are to be put to death. Why? Because it's an abomination in the society. Because now a man should get attracted to a woman, not a man to a man, and a woman should get attracted to a man, not a woman to a woman. That is just manipulation of nature, that men and men are going the same route. So that is not the intention of God. That's why we have laws that prohibit that. And another similarity between the Bible and our modern legal regime or legal jurisprudence is age. Now, under the Constitution, under Article 31, persons of 18 years and above should get married. So the persons dating each other should be physically and mentally mature. According to 1 Corinthians also chapter 7 verse 36, they talk about the woman who has passed the flower of her age, meaning someone is physically and mentally mature. That's why today you must be 18 years to get married because you're mature. That is another element that the Bible resembles with our modern laws. Speaking of age, there is what they call parental consent. In church and civil marriage, section 18 of the Marriages Act, cap 146, a person below the age of 21 years must obtain parental consent by writing a letter authorizing her to get married, saying that eventu tubiriye. The father has also withholding power over his daughter. If you see in 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 36, 38, you will see, meaning that he is justified in not allowing his daughter to get married in justifiable circumstances. And also the father also has also veto powers over his daughter, meaning he can say no. Therefore, can also deny the marriage vows between his daughter and any other man, depending on the justifiable circumstances. So parental consent is an element we find in our modern laws and also in the Bible. So men of God or men who legislate these laws are used by God to take the right law, the right legal regime to put for people, because nature itself demands it and God himself demands it, because the things of God have peace that surpasses human understanding. And another similar element we should not go without mentioning is a vow. So now these vows are necessary in marriage, which is similar both in the Bible and in our legal regime. These spouses vow as long as both shall live till death do them asunder. If you see in Romans chapter 7, we also see that element that marriage is supposed to, with the moment couples vow, it's supposed to live a lifelong or for a lifetime. And also in our laws, section 28 of the Marriages Act, you will find a sample of a vow under section 28 that one of the spouses says, I call upon all persons here present to witness that I so and so take you so and so to be my lawful wife or husband, so long as both shall live. Both of us shall live. So that is a vow that is provided for under the Bible and also under our modern laws, the issue of vow. Those are similarities. And lastly, marriage must be monogamous or should be monogamous. So in nature, so in church and civil marriages, these two kinds of marriages are monogamous. One man, one wife. And also in Ephesians chapter 5 verse 31, you will also see that for this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, not wives, but unto his wife, and they two, not three, but two, shall be one flesh. So when marriages, by the way, this is very significant to know, and at the same time unfortunate. When marriage is regarded as a lifelong commitment, the reality is that not all unions remain healthy or stable. In other words, you should be very careful to whom you marry, and take heed to wise advice from persons who have experience, because all is gold, though all that glitters is not gold. So therefore, it is very necessary to always ask yourself these questions when you're going to marry or you're choosing a potential wife to spend the rest of your life with. Is this a woman that will submit to me? Also, another question should be, is this a man that respects me? Because in Ephesians chapter 5 verse 33, a man should be respecting a woman and a woman reverencing a man. Is this a person that I want to live to please and to provide for? That should be a man inquiring and asking. And also a woman should also ask, is this a man, or is this a person that I want to be? I want him to be the father of my children. Or a man, is this a person I want her to be the mother of my children? Those are some clinical questions you should be asking yourself before you enter into a marriage or you make a vow or to tie the knot. Is this a person that I want to spend the rest of my life with? That's a very significant thing, because marriage is like one way in and no way out. So until death, obviously. So marriage is legally binding, and marriage is emotionally binding. Marriage is physically binding too, because there is an element of consummation. Consummation is very necessary in marriage. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you get married, it's a very good thing. And also, if you don't want to get married, if you have a gift of not getting married, it's also good. But do not force someone not to get married because for you don't have a gift of getting married. And for you, if you have a gift of getting married, do not force someone to get married who doesn't want. But for the married, let the married say, we stood before the altar, hands intertwined, promising forever our hearts aligned. Through laughter and through tears we will face, together side by side in every place. Our love, a flame that burns so bright, a beacon in the darkness shining light. With every breath, I will love you more, forever and always. My heart belongs to you, my love. In your eyes, my soul finds rest. With you, my heart is at its very best. We will build a life with love as our guide, together forever, side by side.